I'd like to call to order the August 14th, 2023 meeting of Plymouth Township Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, is there any public comment about the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing none. Just a general announcement that we had a conditional use hearing that was originally scheduled for tonight for 502 West Germantown Pike, and that conditional use hearing has been continued until September 11th, 2023 at 6 o'clock p.m. Our first item on the agenda tonight is a citizen commendation for Michael Leatherberry, and I'm going to hand that to Ms. Bandish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas on July 3rd, 2023, the Plymouth Township Police Department responded to the report of a child drowning at the Placement Apartments located at 777 West Germantown Pike. And whereas upon the police arrival, the drowning child had already been rescued from the pool and life-saving measures had already been performed by Plymouth Township residents Michael Leatherberry. And whereas an investigation determined that Mr. Leatherberry had removed a 12-year-old child from the bottom of the pool, determined the child was not breathing, and then performed life-saving medical care, including CPR, until such time that the child regained breathing on their own and had a pulse. And whereas, due to the quick and selfless actions of Mr. Leatherberry, medical doctors later reported that the 12-year-old child was in good health and able to be released from the hospital the next day. Now therefore be it resolved that Plymouth Township residents Michael Leatherberry not only had the skill and ability to act, but more importantly, had the presence of mind and willingness to get involved and make a difference and save a child's life. Be it further resolved that this citizen commendation be entered on the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this commendation be publicly tendered to Michael Leatherberry. Adopted this 14th day of August, 2023. And we thank you so much for your incredible bravery and presence of mind to react as quickly as you did to save that child's life.
Hang on one second. Hang on one second. We have to vote to approve this commendation. And I don't know how this vote's going to go. So thank you, Ms. Bandish. Is there a motion to approve this citizen commendation?
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Sorry, Councilwoman Ms. Vicio is joining us via phone tonight. And the chair votes in favor. Mr. Leatherby, congratulations. Does any of your other family want to come up for a picture too? I mean, they might as well.
It's okay.
Wide camera.
Let's walk over here. We'll make sure we get the flag. Here, I'll let you back.
These are my two kids.
That's must be very proud.
You're proud of your dad? You should.
Yep. All right, thanks. If you don't mind, I just want to get a picture of the officers that were there that day. Okay.
You want to take this one too, or?
It's up to you.
Nah, we'll
We'll
let
let
that.
the-
Yeah.
We won't hog the camera.
Hey, come on, let's make it listen. All right, thanks.
Next on the agenda tonight, we are going to have a swearing in for Michael McGuigan as Deputy Fire Marshal. And I would ask that Mr. McGuigan please step forward.
Hey, Chris, could you do it in front of the microphone? Closer to the microphone. It's got to be heard. Sorry. Somebody has to hear it.
If they don't hear it, it doesn't happen. I think, you're going to hold the Bible. See, I'm sitting. I'm not very good at this.
Left hand on the Bible.
All right, left hand on the Bible.
Right hand up.
Right hand up.
See,
I, Michael McGuigan,
I, Michael McGuigan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and Plymouth Township,
and Plymouth Township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my position
of my position
with fidelity
with fidelity
and without consideration to a person's race,
and without consideration to a person's race,
color, sex, religious creed,
color, sex, religious creed,
sexual orientation, age,
sexual orientation, age,
national origin, ancestry,
national origin, ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Karen, is there a vote for that? Or? Yeah. Mike, do you want a picture?
Thank you.
Okay, next tonight we have a 20 years of service resolution for Christopher Schwartz, and I'm going to read that resolution into the minutes. Whereas Christopher Schwartz has served the Plymouth Township Police Department faithfully since July 14th, 2003, and has therefore completed 20 years of service. And whereas Plymouth Township Council desires to formally recognize the diligent and valuable service rendered by Christopher Schwartz and publicly express its appreciation. Now therefore be it resolved that Christopher Schwartz is congratulated for completion of 20 years of service with the Plymouth Township Police Department, and be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Christopher Schwartz, adopted this 14th day of August 2023. I would make a motion that we approve this resolution. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council? I just want to say for Detective Schwartz, we hear a lot of things about a lot of people in this township, and his name comes up so often in such glowing terms by so many people. Half the time by his mom, and the other half by everybody else in the township, both about his character on the job and then just as a person as well. So thank you for your years of service, and looking forward to 20 more. At this time, we will. Is there any comment or questions from the audience? At this time, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations.
All right, thanks.
If we'll give the opportunity now, if anybody would like to exit, anybody that's here for those recognitions or accommodations, you're more than welcome to leave. As I always say, we will not be offended. You're also more than welcome to stay.
Thanks, sir.
An announcement that executive session was held on August 7th, 2023. At this time, I'll ask council for the approval of the minutes from the workshop meeting on July 5th, 2023, and the regular meeting on July 12th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So,
Motion from Mr. Whitney, second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney? In favor. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Approval of departmental reports and bills. Is there a motion to approve?
so moved.
Motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney? In favor. And the chair votes in favor. Moving down to administration, we have an announcement of our budget meeting schedule for this year. Ms. Bandish?
The tentative schedule for the 2024 budget meeting is as follows. Monday, October 16, 2023 at 6 p.m. That will be a public workshop. Monday, October 23, 2023 at 6 p.m. Again, a public workshop. Monday, November 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. That will be a public meeting followed by an executive session. October council meetings are scheduled for the 2nd and the 9th. November council meetings are scheduled for the 8th, which is a Wednesday, and the 13th. General election day is Tuesday, November 7th.
Thank you, Ms. Bandish. And that October 9th meeting may move to the 10th.
Well, so I just asked, it's good for Ms. Banish, it's good for you, Nick.
Is it for everybody?
Just need majority of you, but, and or then, I don't know if you,
Yeah, that would work.
the Tuesday, the 10th for the council meeting.
Lynn, do you know, is that okay for you? October 10th, a Tuesday?
Yes, I replied. That works
Yeah.
for me as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next under administration, we have a mutual release and settlement agreement. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. This is a mutual general release and settlement agreement of the parties in the matter of Joseph S. Catetta versus Montgomery County Transportation Authority, County of Montgomery, Plymouth Township, and Ronald and Susan Italia. Plaintiff Catetta filed a lawsuit in 2015 against the above-named defendants, seeking damages and injunctive relief allegedly caused by the defendants for breach of an easement agreement. The plaintiff has subsequently sold the property, but continued to maintain a claim for the litigation for monetary damages allegedly incurred during the ownership of his property. The matter, as said, since started in 2015. It's been going on for 8 years. Following a status conference before Judge Tolliver in June, the plaintiffs and the defendants now wish to resolve all of the claims to avoid the costs and uncertainty of trial. And what is most significant for the township is that we are settling this matter with no monetary payment to any of the parties involved. Essentially what this is everybody just wants to be done with it, and they just want to be able to walk away, and so they've entered into this settlement agreement. So if we can have a motion to approve the settlement agreement.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney? In favor. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Moving down, our civil service ordinance amendment for first and final consideration. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. This is an ordinance authorizing an amendment to the Code of Ordinances by amending and restating in part Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 5, Civil Service Commission Rules and Regulations. I will not read the entire ordinance, but just touch on some of the highlights that have been added. In Section 2-123, the oral examination panel has been changed to now include a first-class police officer and 5 years of experience with the township. In Section 10A, We have added the language that indicates that all investigations and procedures shall be consistent with the requirements of Title 44 of the Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes, Chapter 73, as amended from time to time. Under Section 2-125 for discipline, we have added that discipline can include this, someone found to have done an act that is grounds for discipline can suffer the loss of accrued vacation pay or accrued time off. We've added that no officer shall be disciplined or removed because of sex or sexual orientation. We have updated the section on disciplinary options that gives more options for the chief of police, and it lists the various discipline that can be imposed, starting with a verbal reprimand all the way up from termination or removal from the department. We've also again added loss or accrued vacation time or loss of accrued time off to the discipline section. That also shows up in the hearings on suspensions, and it also shows up again with procedures. The hearing procedure, just to make it clear that the loss of accrued vacation time or time off can be imposed.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to approve this civil service ordinance amendment? Motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Any comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio?
In favor?
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Chief, anything additional for police public safety?
I have nothing else, thank
Thank you. Okay, moving down to Public Works and Sewer. Tonight we have a stop sign ordinance for Longfall and Red Rowan Lane, and I will hand that over again to Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. This is an ordinance of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, authorizing an amendment to the Township Code of Ordinances at Chapter 13, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Stopping, Standing, and Parking, Section 13-26, Stop Intersections Designated, to designate a stop intersection northbound on Lawnfall Road at Red Rowan Lane. So Section 13-26 will be amended to include a stop sign at Lawnfall Road northbound on Lawnfall at Red Rowan Lane. This is ordained and enacted by the Council of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, this 14th day of August 2023. Council of Plymouth Township by Christopher G. Monero, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to approve the stop sign ordinance?
So moved.
There's a motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Any comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from the audience? Ms. Beth?
Why?
I'm sorry, just could you just state your name for the record officially?
Carol Besser, 519 Old Elm Street, Plymouth Township. Why can they get a stop sign and we can't get a stop sign?
So
Is it a busy intersection?
if I, Chief will tell me if I'm wrong here, but this is a stop sign on a township-owned street, and I believe that the issue on your street is that it's not our street, it's PennDOT has control of
That's the
it.
whole thing in general, because the state owns one and the township owns the other.
We can approve on our streets anywhere we want.
Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor?
And the chair votes in favor. Next item under Public Works and Sewer is the White Marsh Area Sewer Ordinance for first and final consideration. And again, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. This is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of Plymouth Township, Part 2, Chapter 23, Water, Sewers, and Sewage Disposal. Article 2, Sewers and Sewage Disposal, Section 23-16, Districts Created Boundaries, to add additional properties to be incorporated in the White Marsh Area Sewer District. The Council of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, does hereby enact and ordain the following. Section 23-16 is hereby amended to add these additional properties. And with your permission, Mr. Monero, I will not read the 4.5 pages of tax map parcels that are going to be included in the sewer district. ordained and enacted by the Council of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, this 14th day of August 2023. Council of Plymouth Township by Christopher G. Monero, Chair.
Since we're paying you by the hour, I won't ask you to read them. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to approve this sewer ordinance? Motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Engineering, Mr. Manai, anything tonight?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Thank you. Moving down to subdivision and land development, these are plans currently under review. We have an extension request for Ms. Bandish.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we've received a letter from John K. Murphy requesting an extension until September 30th, 2023 for the NPC plan action for the Outback Steakhouse application. I make a motion that we grant this extension.
Okay, there's a motion for Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Our next one is an extension request. This is a letter from Ludgate Engineering. This is a request for an extension for the Aristocare 845 Germantown Pike, and they're seeking an extension until September 12th, 2023. And I would make a motion that we approve this extension request. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Projects that are under construction, we have 3 escrow releases to approve for tonight. The first one is for 529 Plymouth Road. Ms. Vicio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a letter from Lonnie Manai with regards to 529 Plymouth Road. He has noted that based on field observations of work completed to date, there was sufficient work completed to release the amount of $10,651.50. By releasing that amount, the total account balance for the project is now reduced to 0. I make a motion that we release this amount.
Okay, there's a motion from Ms. Vicio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next extension request is for Tamaro, Fairfield Road. Mr. Whitney.
I have a letter here from Lime and I in regards to the Tamara project on Fairfield Road that, based on field observations of work completed to date, it was found that sufficient work had been completed to release the amount of $40,112.90. I would make a motion that we release this amount.
There is a motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, next we have a waiver request for 1817 Hallowell Road. This is a resolution that I will read into the minutes. Be resolved, the Plymouth Township Council previously approved Resolution 2021-46, which approved the preliminary final land development plan prepared for James and Jean Piacitelli, hereinafter owner developer, prepared by Schlosser and Klaus Construction Engineers, LLC, dated December 21st, 2020, last revised June 28th, 2021, consisting of sheets numbers 1 through 20, proposing to redevelop a tract of land with frontage on Hallowell Road consisting of multiple parcels, seeking to demolish 2 existing single-family units and subdivide the property into 17 different lots, of which 15 of them will be used to construct single-family residential dwelling units and to add other improvements in accordance with said plans. And whereas certain waiver requests were granted in association with the approval, and whereas the owner-developer is now requesting an additional waiver. Further resolved that the owner-developer shall be granted the following waiver from the terms of the Plymouth Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance of 1980 as amended, Article 5, Section 5032A, to permit Belgium block curbing in lieu of the required cement curbing. All other terms and conditions of Resolution 2021-46 remain in full force and effect. duly presented and adopted by Plymouth Township at a public meeting held on the 14th day of August, 2023. I would make a motion that we approve this waiver request. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Visia?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, moving down to our zoning hearings for this month. Mr. Whitney.
Right. The Zoning Hearing Board of Plymouth Township will hold a public hearing on Monday, August 21st, 2023, commencing at 7 p.m. in the Greater Plymouth Community Center. The following applications will be heard. Mark and Allison Bennett on an application for variance from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance number 342 as amended Article 19, Section 1909.e. The variance requested is as follows: continuation of 6-foot privacy fencing abutting neighbor fence line. The property is located at 2922 Arch Road in a B residential zoning district. Colin Becker on an application for special exception from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance number 342 as amended Article 19, Section 1908.1. The special exception requested is as follows: build a 14-foot by 24-foot by 11-foot shed where a maximum size of 12 feet by 12 feet is allowed. The property is located at 1416 Sandwood Road in C Residential Zoning District. And Rachel Ingber, First State Building and Design, on an application for variance from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance number 342 as amended with Article 19, Section 1909.e. The variance requested is as follows: install fencing up to sidewalk at Plymouth Road, which is considered front yard. The property is located at 100 Alexander Drive in A residential zoning district. Any citizen of Plymouth Township or interested party may attend the public hearing and have an opportunity to be heard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whitney. Moving down to Parks and Recreation, we have our upcoming events to be announced. Ms. Bandish.
The Park and Rec Program spotlights at the GPCC for August 2023. New fitness classes will be started beginning after Labor Day. The Harriet Wetherell Park is going to be hosting hay rides on Saturday, October 7th, as well as campfire and an additional hay ride afterward, all on Saturday, October 7th. Pool-a-ween will be here at the Community Center on Friday, October 20th. The Veterans Day celebration at the Plymouth Community Park on Jolly Road will be on Wednesday, November the 8th. There will be an outdoor vendor market on Saturday, November the 18th. The holiday tree lighting ceremony will be on Wednesday, November 29th. The bus trip to New York City, the program is returning at long last. COVID's in our rear view mirror, hopefully. Saturday, December 2nd. Breakfast with Santa will be scheduled for Saturday, December 16th. We do need fall sponsors. That's on an ongoing basis. So you can find additional details in our brochure, via the app, on our website, in social media, or you can just call the center at 610-277-4312.
I wonder if this is the first time Santa's ever been mentioned at an August Township meeting.
We should have done it last month, Christmas in July, right?
Thank you, Ms. Banish. And also just another thank you, public thank you to our police department and to the Parks and Rec department for an outstanding job with National Night Out at the beginning of this month. Okay, moving down to miscellaneous and old business, we have some citizen board vacancies to announce. Mr. Whitney.
All right. All residents wishing to serve on the citizen boards are asked to submit their resume or a letter stating their interest to the township manager at 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth, PA 19462, or via email at kweiss@plymouthtownship.org. The following citizen board positions are open. We have 3 positions open on the Property Maintenance Code Appeals Board, 1 position open on the Historical Architectural Review Board, and positions open on the Human Relations Commission.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whitney. Anything additional from council tonight? Moving down to audience participation. Is there anybody that would like to offer any comments tonight? Mr. Blue, was this table here for public comment, or was that just there for?
No, they just set it up this way.
If you just state your name and whether or not you're a Plymouth Township resident.
Robert Blue Jr. My office is located in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, and I'm not a resident in the township. I'm representing Mr. and Mrs. Miller.
Mr. Blue, we need you to come a little closer so you can get somewhat near the microphone.
Come into the halo. It's not the ideal
I've never
setup.
been accused of being.
That's good, right? There's good. That's
How's
good.
that
That's
good?
good. That's good.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for giving me time this evening. I represent Mr. and Mrs. Miller, who are sitting back there. They are residents on Butler Pike, which is subject of a two-lot subdivision. Last month, on July the 10th, I wasn't present, but a resolution was approved, Resolution 23-24 for the two-lot subdivision. And there were certain waiver requests that we requested of the board, which had to do specifically with widening of the roadway and putting in curbs and sidewalks along the frontage of the property. Mr. and Mrs. Miller have lived in the township for over 30 years, and they're doing the subdivision, because they're I don't want to get hit in the back with a book or something, but as Mrs. Miller has been known to throw at her husband, but not me. They're getting up in age. They want to subdivide the property, probably build a house on the other side, on the vacant lot. It's sort of historical lot. The widening, the curbing, the widening, there's a couple different things. There's 4 major trees along the frontage there that would have to be taken down. The sidewalks would be a sidewalk that goes from nowhere. There's no curbing on Butler Pike unless you go on the other side of the turnpike where South Bayonne has a small subdivision. But other than that, all up and down, there's no curb or sidewalk. So it would be a curb and sidewalk and a road widening that goes nowhere. The county maintains the road. That's just been recently repaved, so from a practical standpoint, it's a good 10 or 15 years if any road widening would ever occur. But we have provided for the ultimate right-of-way along there, offered for dedication to the agency having jurisdiction at the time. So if at any point in the next 21 years, PennDOT or Butler Pike or the township feels that a widening should occur, the right-of-way is there. So we would ask you to reconsider granting of the waivers that were requested under Resolution 20-23-24.
Thank you, Mr. Blue. And Mr. Clark, if we were to reconsider, what would be the process that we would have to undertake?
Council would have to determine whether it wanted to consider the request, and if they did, we'd have to put it on a future agenda, a resolution modifying the original resolution. We had something similar tonight where we added a waiver, so it would just sort of be a similar process.
Okay. Can we tell you we can give you an answer by our next meeting
Sure.
in September?
That'd be fine. Could we be on that next meeting in September?
I think we can agree to have it ready by then.
I'm just, just saying if you could hold the spot for us, and
Sure.
that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay? Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Additional public comment tonight?
Carol Bethel, 519 Old Elm Street, Plymouth Township. Last month's meeting, you had something in there with firemen, rebate or something, but you bypassed it. Are we doing something for the firemen and women?
Can you refresh my memory?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about last month, but a few months ago, yes. And so the Emergency Services Board is going to have a meeting this Thursday, and council asked them to come up with qualifications. And council would have to approve it, but they wanted to know what their input is as far as who might qualify if council is in favor of passing, I guess, adopting Act 172, which is the Pennsylvania Act that allows real estate rebates to active volunteers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was wondering. I guess I missed a month.
Yeah. So that board has a meeting this week, and
Okay.
and I think council was just looking for ideas, and also it might not be the same as the stipend program. It may be a little bit more, is the sense I got, but it's up to council ultimately.
Or anything we can do for them for.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Additional audience comments or questions? Anything from council? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.